Hi traders, I'm going to start this session going over what I did in Traders Roundtable last week. In Traders Roundtable last week we talked about how I use fibs and what I'm doing in the pound yen, which is the most liquid, or one of the most liquid forex pairs at the moment, is I'm putting the fibs on the previous week's play. So last week we opened up with this action down here on the Monday, late in the session, late in the day, and if you held that and gone to the weekly pivot, which is a 127 extension, you would have got about 125 points. If you'd have come back and played it in the Euro session that morning, you would have played it off of, this was the previous week's high, so it dipped underneath that and then pushed up for about 60-70 points and failed. A lot of topping tails. You can manage to stop and then got stopped out, hopefully for a good 50 plus points. A lot of flailing around here, not very clear action at all. Eventually dropped to the 50% and the 200 EMA. So on a small time frame, if you looked at this price action here, massive amount of support, and that was worth about 170 points. Then it rolls over and then it holds the weekly pivot, which is where I got in, did the video I showed you. Pushes up to the previous week's high, pulls back to this support, and then runs up in Friday. After this big whippy news area here, it back up to the weekly pivot, and then consequently just sells off into the Friday close. So what you've got in summary, if you're a day trader, is you had an opportunity in the late Monday here for one. You have an opportunity on the Euro session on the Tuesday. You had an opportunity on, I think that was Wednesday, as it came off the 200 EMA. And then you had another opportunity, so you got that move, that move, that move, this off the weekly pivot. If you stay out of trouble, even if you didn't, this is really whippy. This is just boxed in a mess, tough to trade. But about an hour or two later, you got a 5-minute hammer off of this massive support here that took it into R1, and then late in the Euro session, you got a reversal bar which dragged it down. So that was 4. Took it off at resistance. That was 5. If you managed to get that, and then 6. There was 6 potential trades there for just trading the range, just trading the waves. And a lot of it was based on the previous day's fibs. This moved to 50%. This moved to 61.8 and the weekly pivot. And then this R1, weekly R1 up there. Okay, so just these are the pivot points. These are all key pivots that I teach, we talk about, we look at in the Traders Roundtable, and so I thought you'd find that useful just to go over that. So let's put the fibs on this week's action. And you can see, by the time you get to Friday, you can start to think about fibs on that week's action, on that 5 days that you've seen, because once we get a reversal bar here at R1 and retesting that star, it comes back to the 61.8. So for the coming week, I would look to see we're about this round number here. That round number there would come in contact with the low on the data move and the 200 EMA. And of course any lower moves would be very welcome. And if you look at the daily now, You can see on the daily move we are holding this 76.4%. We've rejected this resistance level up here, 171.85. We've got topping tails and bottoming tails. So I'm looking to see if this can hold. Let me see what the weekly is going to look like. And the weeklies are just a doji like bars, are very hesitant and slightly higher close, very, very slightly. But this trend line coming on the bottom, this resistance coming up the top. If we start closing lower, if we close underneath the 170 area, then I would start to look to get short. But this 950 area here is going to be critical. Yeah, last week's low. We start breaking that, then we could come back and test this 165 area here. So I'm looking at this as a big box, and whichever way we come out of that box is going to give us the direction. And you can see from these automatic trend lines that we've got a lot of support coming underneath. We've got, we are still in the uptrend. The uptrend is holding, the 50 EMA is holding, but we've just got a lot of sideways action. So a close under 170, and this is potentially going to weaken. Come down, retest these lows and hold, and we could start to make our way back up to one at the top there. Data this week, a lot of euro data on Monday. Tuesday is US consumer confidence. Wednesday GDP. So it's a quiet week on the UK front, except for Friday we've got Mark Carney speaking, Bank of England governor. UK GDP on Wednesday, I said that. And so the US, we got consumer confidence Tuesday, new home sales Wednesday, durable goods Thursday. So it's a busy week on the US front. And US GDP on Friday. So busy for the US, quiet for the pound. Monday's busy on the euro. So let's swing across to the euro now. And you can see on the euro front, this was the major support that we held at the euro yen lows. You can see the trend line coming across this area here, and a trend line coming across the highs. Hammerlight bar on Thursday, closed above on Friday, but closed under the 50%. So I would look for a retest of 140.40. Or possibly even the top of that box, which is 140, and that 140 is the logical place to go. And if 140 works, and you want to swing trade it with a stop under 139.15 or 139, then let's see if we can break up through 141.75, 142. Let's see if we can start to make our way up for those highs. I think the 50 EMA is bending its way down. 200 EMA is creeping up. It's all looking bullish, but we are stuck under a lot of resistance. And again, start closing lower, and I'll look to get short. But I think we could hold this and could run up. Pound US. I think a retest of this 165.70 or 165 could get bought, but in the meantime that is clearly in a downtrend. We've got a weekly hammer at 164.40, so we could come all the way down to 164.40 down here, but there's the 38.2% fibs. 165.70 is fibs. I mean, it's a big move up. We just got a little too toppy up there, and we are just creeping down. So let's get Monday out of the way and see where that one wants to go. Euro, US. I think it's a pretty horrible chart, really. Let me try and clean this up. I hope you saw my note on the email about HD videos. This is recorded in HD, but you do need to adjust your viewing settings, and I've shown you how in the video. In fact, let me show you now. This button here, you can see where it says HD. If your button doesn't say HD, then click it. Click on the quality and make sure it's up to the highs. The average setting is 360, 480, but put it up, swing it up to the high, and then close it, and then you can watch that in HD. Euro US, so you can see we're holding up, but we're underneath that fib area with a potential to, if we close above 137.55, get to go higher and to get to 140, otherwise start closing lower and this could just break down. So the euro has just been a really tough one to trade unless you just bought this low and just sat in it and did nothing. But even that would have only generated 240 points over a 3-week period. So yeah, this is not a great chart, and we've got all that resistance above, we've got trend line resistance as well as fibs, but we're holding up. So we're in a wedge. So we could sort of come down early part of the week or even Monday and then just break up. So that sideways to bullish. The pound US at the moment is just dropping, but holding up. If you look at this on the monthly, you'll see how trapped we are. We're right underneath the 200 EMA there on the monthly, and the fibs on this last move on the monthly chart has us sitting above 61.8, but struggling with a trend line coming across from October 98 and the low of November 2005. Obviously it's the end of the month on Friday, so far all we've done is come off of a major resistance area, and we're just looking to hold. Right, so not looking through the charts, not really interested in much else at the moment. Aussie US, that is hanging on just. So you've got trend line support there, so that could be a nice close above the fib area on Thursday, but then drop below it on Friday. So the case for the bears on this one is we break that low, and that can just drop right back downwards again. Not a great chart. Pound Aussie dollar is holding up. I think that's a potential stopping bar, sitting on top of a key area of support, sitting on top of the 50 EMA. I think that's a potential stopping bar, and we'll see more action to the upside. The Euro US is better. That's a better chart. That's probably one of the better forex charts out there. Pull back to 152.75, and that could start to climb up to here. So this is looking like the one to watch. Sitting under a trend line, but looking as if that could burst up. That's the support we've got underneath us, thanks to this hammer on the 6th. Potential wedge breakout. It's a relative tight stop as well. If you get a nice pullback to 152.75, you only need a 75-point stop on that. But all the time you're under a trend line, it could just roll over. Right, down. This is a very interesting chart here. Let's just pull this right back. Let's just get rid of everything and just pan out from this. Because if you look at that resistance, at the moment we are failing that. That's a reversal bar under a major area of resistance. Thursday's bar was bullish, but that is a potential reversal bar under resistance. The last time we had a reversal bar like that, we dropped from 16,100 down to 15,660 area. So if this does not hold, that's a potential wedge breakdown. So all the time we're holding the 50 EMA, we could, and we close above 16,200, then we could go and visit the highs. But the major area here is the fact that we are under that line. And again, really range bound last week. Options week is a big factor in this. But that is the area to watch. I'm going to take off the fibs for the moment and then just watch that and see where that wants to go. So start closing under 16,000, obviously the huge number, and that could come off. And that's pretty much what. That's interesting, seeing that. I'll copy that. And take that off. And the Nasdaq, again very toppy up there. RSI is divergent, new highs, lower RSI, so that could be, that's a we're holding support. This could be a wiggle pattern. Yeah, that resistance is now support. So keep holding up there, and we could reach for a new high. That's in trouble. S&Ps. Similar sort of style, similar look to the charts. Major resistance ahead. Nikkei. Nikkei had a hammer on Thursday and a close above on Friday. So I'm bullish to sideways, but Monday on the Dow in particular is going to be crucial. Okay, let's look at some commodities and stocks. Oil, I think, is going to come down and touch possibly 100. We're sitting on this fib area though. We could just, we are extremely high RSI. Great weekly chart. Any kind of pullback to that, I think we've got to come back to that box, and we're just playing too high. I think sugar has had a massive burst to the upside. That's tough. I mean, somebody asked me if they should get out of their sugar trade. I said yes. So I'm feeling guilty for that at the moment. It's not extreme RSI yet. In an ideal world, you'd have taken that off at resistance and got back in on a pullback, but that's risky. You don't know that's going to break up at that stage because the Thursday bar was a red one. The only thing you can do is drop down to a 4-hour chart. You can see I've marked my 4-hour chart up. But look how we get squeezed on the 50 EMA. This happened with oil. This is exactly what oil looks like on this chart as well. Major level of support there. So it runs up into resistance, and all it does is it just pulls right back to support, and then a couple of wiggles, and then we break. So the 4-hour charts was great on a expansive breakout pattern. Most charts, if not all, will wait, charged up, got high RSI. But what it did was it just waited for the 50 EMA. I'll show you. Let's look at the euro. Even did this. Let's look at the euro. This is the euro on a 4-hour chart. So it busts up here, pulls back to 50 and 200, but unfortunately can't get back. It does bounce off of that, but crashes into too much resistance and fails. But here we have quite a big, nice move up. We look as if we're selling, but then they throw a lifeline on that fib, and we start getting a 50 and 200 cross until that breaks up again. So, and look, we test the 50 EMA again. Once after that, this big move to the upside, we wait for the 50 EMA and we push up again. So you can see why this 137.40 50 area is so critical. I think so. On this 4-hour chart, it looks as if the 13700 could hold. And then if we can come back and start pushing through that resistance, then maybe this Euro US can do it. Right, let's back to the commodities because there's a lot of interesting charts on commodities. Wheat. Wheat is a massive buy. A lot of resistance up there. You know, look at the left of the chart, it's quite a lot of resistance. RSI got high. If this comes back to the 600 area, that's a buy. Anybody who's not in a wheat, look for 600 if you're interested. Corn. Come on, corn, where are you? This has come into a lot of resistance at 450, 460, 450. That's a buy at 444. Ideally lower. Again, RSI got very high. Let's just wait for that to pull back. Beans are rampant. So they're a pullback at 1360. And the other ones I like is copper. I'll come back to copper. For some reason this chart's not showing me, so let me go straight to the stocks and I'll come back to copper. Right, on my stocks watch list, STI, SunTrust Banks, nice push to the upside. Fibs on, what's going on there? This is the last big move on SunTrust. And you see we come right back to 38.2% fibs. 50, we're above the 50 EMA. I think that's a buy at 37.10 because if that breaks out of that, I think we can get back up to 39.70. There's a lot of support down here at the lows. You might want to hold out for at least 370. Maybe just a few points above 370 would be cheeky. Potash is still on my watch list. I've got an alert for 328. You can see this 328 level here is massive support. NetApp. And I like this, but it's a hammer-like bar. A lot of support down here at 396, which is just above the lows. Low RSI, excuse me. Low RSI. At the moment, it's making lower lows. So I would be very cautious with this one and wait for a close above 401, 402 to then see if we can push back up and close the gap and run higher. But it's on my watch list. MON, that's a buy at 111. Pullback, that's a breakout, potential breakout. A lot of resistance up here, but hold out for a good price to see if that can start climbing up. Monsanto, Goldman's, just trapped between the 50 and the 200, but holding a key fib area, 38.2 fibs. Just give that a bit more time. And before you trade any of these, I haven't checked the results dates. Just check there's no results dates coming up before you even get into any of these. This is Dean Foods, DF in the US. Look at that massive support, 143. I think we might come and touch 140, 1420. We could just roll over. We're in a downtrend. So resistance, sold, resistance, sold, resistance, sold. So clearly in a downtrend since August, from 230 right down to 140. But we have come down. This time last year we sold that much, closed the gap and ran. So just bear in mind, this time last year we looked really weak, and that's not to say we're going to see a carbon copy of that. Far from it. We could just close underneath here and then roll over. So be cautious of this one. Give it another. See if it comes down here. See if it drops under here and holds. Because this is still in a downtrend on Dean Foods. Chesapeake. I think that's a buy at 260, 2615. 260, 261.5. That's no good. That's not telling me anything. Yeah, we've get the correct drawing tool. We've still not got the correct drawing tool. Sold, bounced, sold, bounced, sold, bounced. That is major. This could be a bear. This could be a bear flag. We're not closed in above that 76.4 at the moment. So if we come back and hold 2610, I will look to buy that. All I would say is we've held the 50%, a nice move up from the 50%. So any move into this area here, 256, would be nice. That is a reversal bar under the fibs. So put this on your watch list and see if we come and sit on 256. That's Chesapeake, CHK. Celgene, CELG. Massive support here. Breakout there, and that could run. But again, it's got a lot of red in here. So let's see if it comes lower, 157. Holds, and then puts in a reversal bar. CME, the big trading platform. Chicago Mercantile, I think is the correct name. We've got big move, consolidation, testing resistance, pullback, big move, pullback. That was resistance. This is now support. Runs up. And we get an M pattern for a sell. All we've done is come back to this support. So basically, we're in a big box on CME, and at the moment we're almost in a box play. This is quite common, where get to the top of the box, keep knocking on resistance, and it comes back into a support level and then potentially breaks out. But watch the stopping bar, watch for a higher close. If you get a higher close, then I would buy a pullback and see if you can trade that up on CME. Got new home sales on Friday. This is Beazer Homes in the US. Hammer on 50%, big bar, under the 50 EMA, under the fib zone. I would look for a retest of 209 with a stop under 202 to see if that can get back to 243 plus on BZH. Bank of America. Hammer on the 50 EMA, stopping bar. Just give it one more day, just to see if we close above 1634.4. BBT. These are all 50 EMA scans. I've done a scan for 50 EMAs. Here's the bottom of the wedge, 368. Close above 373, and we could run and run. This is a nice stock. Very good trending stock. Big move, pull back to support. Test resistance, pull back to support. Nice W pattern. So pull back to support, push up to resistance, pull back to support. Can we have another W pattern? Can we repeat? Can we have a symmetry in this that we've had here in this one here? You could buy into this now on a pullback and with a stop under here, or just give it one more day. It's your choice. 3D systems. Beautiful move off the 50 EMA. Pulls back to support, runs up, back to support, clashes into the 50, right back down to where we broke out from here almost. See if we can close the gap, hold out, see if we can get a pullback on that one. I think you may only be lucky to get a pullback to that. That is a reversal bar at resistance. So let's see the big number there, 750. See if you can get 750. Ticker's UAL. Okay, let's just do a quick check on some of my on the usual ones, usual suspects. Sorry about that, got the mic in the wrong place. Premier Foods in the UK. Ooh, nice move. Pull back to 142. A lot of resistance up there. But this is a nice stock. Let's look at Ladbrokes. Ooh, just not doing it. Keep an eye on this. Close above 150 and that could go. This is the biggest player on the UK market, Ladbrokes, so watch LAD. And Glencore. I think this one could go. So notice the 50 and 200 EMA cross here. could try a pullback to 337. RSI is quite high. I mean, beautiful if you get a pullback to 325, 327. You might want to hold out for that. Come on. What am I? What's LMI? Lonmin. I think this one's going to go. Just closed above the 50%, but we've got this 200 EMA across the top. But I think that could potentially, that's a hammer. Close above the 50%. This is one of my favourite UK stocks at the moment, I think. Potential wedge breakout, but we've just got to close above 330. Let's look at a bit more history. Just be cautious. You know, I ideally need another higher close. If you do, the only other way you could do it is to enter on a small position on 317. What's like a marker lot? You'll just risk beer money. See if it closes above, and then increase your position size. That is one thing you could do. Money Supermarket. In the UK. Obvious pullback is 182. If you want to be a bit more greedy, try and get 181. Or if you really want to hold your neck out and not bother if you don't get filled, then try for 179, 180. But that is a good setup. I do hope that helps. Do join me for Traders Roundtable if you're available, as I will list the core subject for that and post that up. Okay, enjoy what's left of your weekend and see you soon.